Hello and welcome to the first update video on my remake. In my first video, I went into detail about the old project I once worked really hard on and eventually dropped. After some months, I decided to remake it. In this video, I will explain my plans going forward for the remake. Firstly, after giving it some thought, and considering my options, I came to the conclusion that the remake, unlike my original project, is going to be a roguelike. While the original project had action and a level structure that I wanted, it lacked the RPG elements, as well as the replayability, of course, along all its other problems. The roguelike genre fits this boxes perfectly, as their gameplay loop consists on randomly generated levels, enemies, and a variety of gameplay options to keep the player engaged, features I was planning to add anyways. First things first, as you can see on the gameplay on the background, the player character sprite has been reworked and shrunk to a smaller, more manageable size. Its details had been lowered as well as making its colors more vibrant. The original sprite had a black outline and a lot of unnecessary detail, which made it really difficult to animate. This new version took me a fraction of what the original did, and I must say, the animation results look a lot better than before. Now, regarding the gameplay, it's time to discuss about the main change in the way the player fights enemies. In the original project, the player had a basic set of attacks while unarmed, as well as pickup items which the player could use, such as guns and melee weapons. In the remake, I decided to drop the items altogether, in favor of a more hand-to-hand focused combat. You may be wondering then, how is the player going to gain access to powerful and fun abilities and item synergies that roguelikes often offer, making each run different? This is where I decided to deviate a little from the original formula of a roguelike having weapons as the items which grant the player the ability to attack with. In the remake, the player will have access to technique tattoos. These tattoos share the same attributes any other item in a traditional roguelike would, such as damage, attack speed, special modifiers and visuals. However, these tattoos grant each a unique combat melee ability. The player will be able to add a tattoo in 5 of the 6 slots available, one big or ultimate ability in the back, as well as one in each limb. They range from regular combo attacks and kicks, to more intricate movement abilities, crowd control and elemental damage ones. The final slot for a tattoo would be in the chest, a slot reserved for a special type of tattoo I'm calling instinct tattoos, and unlike technique tattoos, provide mostly passive bonuses to the player, enhancing all their other abilities. With this system, the player will start each run with a randomized tattoo from a pool of techniques, and will be able to acquire more as they progress, eventually getting all 5 slots filled with a unique combination of techniques, kinda like a build-your-own fighter in a fighting game. This all sounds like it addresses the variation in the abilities the player has during runs. However, I felt it was not going to be compelling enough to encourage more runs. So I came with a way to customize the character even further. Each technique slot has access to smaller upgrade slots, which can change the way the technique in that slot behaves, such as converting its damage type to a different type, adding a critical bonus or increasing its area of effect. This way, the player can specialize into a playstyle they find interesting and experiment with all the possible combinations available. This all sounds like it will grant the player power, but a big part of a roguelike is still missing: the risk versus reward. In roguelikes, players are often faced with the option to grant their player a huge increase in power at the cost of something else, as well as taking unknown outcome chances with the chance to get a powerful ability. In my game, the tattoo system also happens to fit into this concept, as some tattoos can become corrupted, granting the player negative bonuses, as well as positive ones. While I cannot yet talk about the game's lore in detail as I haven't developed that part yet, I do know the basic setting and it helps describe the tattoo mechanic better. In this world, it is known by the members of the organization the player belongs to, that the blood of demons can be used to unlock powerful new techniques, only available if done correctly. The player will be able to buy new tattoos from a vendor at the cost of blood, often with a low risk, as the vendor knows the properties of said tattoos. However, the player can encounter secret tattoos throughout the game, which are a risk to apply. When applied, the player could gain a set of negative modifiers that will make the run harder, but at the same time, could obtain exclusive, powerful positive ones that increase the player's power. With all this being said, I still have a long way to go in regards to the design of the game. Most of the time this past week was spent designing the new systems, and most of it went to this tattoo system I just described. I haven't even touched into the random levels or enemies part, but they are coming as soon as possible, as I want to beeline directly into the fun of the game, that being, having all the main systems working, such as the abilities, enemies, and level generation. From here, I would like feedback on the systems I have so far as well as future ones. While it doesn't look like much progress, I wanted to set up all the backend needed for everything to fit better in the future, such as a state machine system that allows me to add new attack animations with their own parameters, as well as a good feel in the player's control. In the next update, I will hopefully have not only the first working enemy, but also a basic interface to show the player's techniques. But I will stop myself from working on more attacks, since it's the part that consumes the most time. Making the sprites for all attacks is certainly going to be the longest, and while is the most fun adding new attacks, the basics of the game have to be covered first. Please give me ideas and feedback on how I can improve this remake going forward. If you want the full context for this game, please watch my first video. Thank you for watching and subscribe if you want to follow my progress, and see you in the next update.